Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do this first. All right, we did that. And now.
Camera. Look at the camera.
I'm always looking at the camera.
I'm not.
You don't look at the camera.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at me.
Oh, you're reminding yourself to look at the camera? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
Did you know I made 6 figures last year?
No. Well, yes, but no.
I was also named worst employee at the toy factory.
Yeah, that was fucking stupid. You have a pink eye?
No, I don't have pink eye. We're also still talking on the show. Not that they can't see it. No, I have itchy eyes because my skin hates me, and I'm just sick all the time.
I didn't mean to fart on your pillow last time. It happened.
You did, and I wish you didn't.
I forgot we didn't mute it this way.
Welcome back to Brand Coverage.
Off to just
I'm Brandon Carney,
start.
alongside Pat Gustafson. If you're wondering, my eyes are just generally in shit condition at all times. No, it's not pink eye.
I have 4 eyes today.
Yeah, you do.
I always do. I just didn't take them off yet.
Yeah, you're looking good here. Let's you're a little out of frame. Let's get you more centered in here. We've got a lot to talk about. The NFL draft just happened. I don't know if anybody's aware of that. There was a large influx of children into the NFL, and we have to talk about the after effects of that, both real life and fantasy related. So that is what we're going to do today.
You know, it's funny, as someone who wasn't like entirely plugged in beforehand, I watched every second of day 1 and 2, and then more of day 3 than I'd like to admit.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I watched a lot of this draft, so I actually have some decent insight as opposed to the mock draft, where I didn't have any insight, quite frankly.
I am curious. I don't know how our mock draft ended up looking. I didn't end up posting it anywhere.
I think a lot of our ideas weren't terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we joked about the fact that we had so many receivers going early and that we had linemen falling, and that was very much just a fantasy-pilled sort of take. I think that, you would expect from a fantasy podcast, and then that's kind of what happened. I was very surprised to see, Francis Mauigoa fall to 10th overall.
Mm-hmm. So we had Mauigoa at 11, which
not bad. So let's see.
We're not far off.
You guys can't see this, but we can dictate for you what we've got here. So obviously we got the first 2 picks right with Mendoza and Bailey. Not too shocking there. Then, I mean, this was truly, I think, one of the most unpredictable first rounds in a while, because once you hit the 3rd pick, basically the Cardinals were telling us, we want Jeremiah Love, and everyone was like, no, you fucking don't. And so nobody actually mocked that.
I think had we done it the day of the draft, it seemed pretty set in stone at that point that this is probably going to be Jeremiah Love. I think had we done it the day of, that we would have mocked that correctly, and things would have more fallen into place.
Even after that, though, I don't know that I would have mocked Carnell Tate to the Titans before. So, it was very...
I would have mocked Reese.
It was very unpredictable just overall. So, I mean, look, our mock, let's see, did we have any other picks exactly right except for that?
Probably not.
I don't think so. Let's see, Mesidor, Ioane.
Oh, dear.
Spencer Fano. I mean, look, positionally, we weren't super off on a lot of these. Freeling, Parker, Loma.
I don't think we got a single other one correct.
We did not.
But hey, brother.
That's all right. That's the way,
baby.
It's the way she goes. I do want it known that I had everyone in our own chat laughing at me for putting Ty Simpson at 21
they say in showbiz,
because that was too early. Not only was that not too early, he went 8 picks before that to the Rams at number 13.
That was one.
So never let it be said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I mean, you could say that, but not about this.
My dad didn't really tune in because obviously the Raiders made the first pick and we all knew who it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So he just hears me upstairs go, "What the fuck?" when they took Ty Simpson. He goes, "Who'd they take?" I'm like, "Ty Simpson."
Took Homer Simpson. That was
Stupid,
an interesting one.
Sexy Flanders.
So we could go through. We'll go through this draft. We'll go through all the impact picks anyway. First things first. Let's go through some news here. Do I have that? I do have that.
I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
So, a couple of just trades and transactional things that happened over the week as well. Jonathan Grenard traded to the Eagles. This trade was basically leaked by a reporter like 2 days before the draft. Yeah. He like thought the trade was already reported, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't think that's happened yet, buddy." And he was like, "Oh, well, it's gonna."
And it sure did.
So Jonathan Grenard got traded to the Eagles. I mean, you're talking about one of the more productive sack artists in the NFL of the last few years, and of course he goes to the fucking Philadelphia Eagles because I'm so sick of Howie Roseman, and we'll talk about that going forward as well. But
that guy is so good at his job; it's disgusting. They don't deserve it.
Well, it's crazy because, like, you know, I don't want to be that guy that's like, fans could do the GM job, but like as time goes on, I'm starting to think fans could do the GM job because every time Howie does something, it's just a move that's in line with fans being like, well, yeah, like I would have done that. Like, like why wouldn't you do that? And he always does the obvious. So it's just it's a clear case of a guy consistently not overthinking, doing the right thing to make his team better, especially a team, you know, with a consistently open Super Bowl window. And that's just what he keeps doing. He did it with this trade. He did it in the draft, which we'll get into. So Howie Roseman just continues to fucking do the thing. Shout out to him, I guess.
I think it's all the intricacies of the job that fans could not do. But in terms of like, Howie Roseman is the king of go get good player, bring good player to team.
Yeah.
Whether it be in free agency, trades, the draft, he always finds a way to do it. We'll see. He'll probably get like a star. He'll probably get like Drake May for A.J. Brown or something somehow.
Yeah, and then you'll find my body cascading off of the nearest tall structure. George Pickens still has not signed his franchise tag because Adam Schefter is a dirty, dirty fibber liar. He reported basically as the draft was starting that George Pickens had officially signed the tag. That is not the case. Based on how the draft played out, certainly seems like this is a more likely situation than before, that he's going to just sign the tag and play on it this year, because the Cowboys did not draft a receiver, I don't think at all, certainly not with high capital. They might have, I don't know. I never know if teams sneak one in there with the fucking 7th rounder, because I'm just not that plugged into the 7th round, because those guys do not matter most of the time. But they did not spend any real capital on a wide receiver, so it is going to be George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and also, I guess, like, shout out Ryan Flournoy.
Dave Portnoy.
I put him toward
Devontae Turpin.
I put Flournoy as one of our draft winners as well, just especially for, you know, dynasty leagues going forward, because he showed some flashes last year and is not getting jumped on the depth chart by anybody.
No.
So,
also, you're going to need to hit the breaking news button.
Oh, okay.
Breaking news!
Justin Simmons has retired.
Oh,
the 4-time All-Pro safety has announced he is retiring. Only 9 seasons. That's a young retirement there.
Feels like he's been around longer.
He was a free agent though, right? He wasn't currently signed with anyone.
I don't think he
so.
was. Justin Simmons has reached the end here. Started 124 career games, recorded 32 interceptions, and as Ari Merov puts, one of the great people in the sport of football.
These guys just love glazing, man.
I mean, he's glazing like a donut. But no, I have heard of a lot of the same things. Also, as I'm scrolling through X, I see this post. It's if the NFL did a full redraft of the last 5 years, and like, so all the players that have been drafted in the last 5 years in one draft pool. Drake Maylover just puts, opened my phone and got flashbanged by this. This is horrible. This is disgusting. Don't ever put this in my face.
Out of all the teams they could have put him on.
I mean, yeah, fuck off. Absolutely not. Do not touch our Drake May. So yeah, breaking news, Justin Simmons retires, but we'll continue down our news here, our regular news. Bo Nix had a second procedure on his ankle, so just something to monitor as we get closer to the start of the season. I know we need the ouch. Do I have that yet? I don't think I have the ouch. I think I meant to put the ouch, but I don't have it yet. No ouch yet. We'll get there. You know, these are the injuries that it's like they feel like, okay, no big deal as the offseason progresses, and then you get to the season, and sometimes a guy gets off to a slow start, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy had surgery twice, and it's like, we probably should have thought more about that. So let's just keep that in the back of our mind. Let's file that one away for, any potential slow startage here for the Denver Broncos, and maybe some hesitation if you're going to be drafting Bo Nix in your fantasy leagues, or if he's like a main target of yours, because it is just something to keep in mind. Injuries like this fall by the wayside because a lot of them have this era of like, again, just they're no big deal, and then you get to that point and it ends up being a bigger deal than you would have thought. So Bo Nix mix, second procedure on his ankle. Also, the Steelers put a weird tender on Aaron Rodgers. Weird little chicken tender here.
Love me tender, love me sweet.
Basically a tender that like never gets used ever, and essentially
I've
is...
never heard of this.
Yeah, it doesn't really get used, and it's kind of giving off some weird vibes in the sense of like, it kind of seems like the Steelers are protecting themselves against Rodgers signing with somebody else, which is really odd because basically what the tender is he can opt in, he could sign the tender and it will give him a 10% raise on what he made last season. And this is not, for anybody wondering, like this isn't your normal like restricted free agent tender. Rodgers is an unrestricted free agent. Like tenders get put on restricted free agents all the time so that teams can have final negotiating rights with those players. They have an opportunity to match whatever contract they're offered. Rodgers is an unrestricted free agent, and he got this tender placed on him so he can accept a contract, again, worth what did I just say? 15%, 10%, something like that, higher than what he made last year. But Rodgers, it basically protects them if he does decide to negotiate with another team. And it's just interesting at this point because he hasn't signed yet that they felt the need to do that. I don't know if it's a lack of communication from him with the Steelers.
I'd imagine that's it.
You know, we came on last week and I suggested that I thought the Steelers knew what he was going to do one way or the other, even though it wasn't publicized yet. And that it was just maybe an effort to, you know, not force him to participate in OTAs with the public pressure of, oh, well, he signed, why isn't he here? And they could kind of just keep playing this off with, you know, he hasn't made a decision yet, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, maybe he is actually floating the idea of going somewhere else. Where, I don't know.
That's what I mean. It's
fucking
there
Arizona.
or,
like,
no.
Well,
Mike LaFleur, you know, maybe he likes
yeah,
Mike.
true.
Maybe he thinks it's Matt by accident.
That's also true as well. Like, I'm trying to even think. I haven't given any thought into
Colts,
what teams could still. Yeah, you know, Colts is interesting. But Daniel Jones is going to play at some point this year, and I can't imagine Rodgers kind of, you know, signing with a team where he'd have to hand over the reins so shortly into the season.
It's Steelers.
The Jets.
No.
Maybe the Jets. Falcons. No. Falcons don't have a quarterback. Let's see. Anybody else?
Don't do Trevor Siemian like that, please.
Yeah, there's really like literally nowhere else he could go. So yeah, just an interesting move. It's always fun when something comes up out of nowhere that it's like, oh, I've never even fucking heard of that. Like,
There's so much we haven't
Welcome to the
heard of.
NFL. There's so many tenders and just clauses and shit that you've never heard of in your life that could be used but just never gets used. So that is something that's happening with Aaron Rodgers. And then I don't have it on here, but just another keeping updated with Brandon Ayuk watch.
Who?
The Niners are like, yeah, our phones are open, and teams are like, yeah, we can't reach Brandon Ayuk. I don't know if this guy wants to play football. I have no idea.
What the hell happened to this guy, man?
He is AB speedrunning. Didn't even remotely reach the heights that AB reached, but is quickly reaching the levels of insanity. So, yeah, I don't fucking know what happened with Brandon Ayuk.
We didn't put this in the show sheet. We mentioned it last week. We have to mention this again. Your boy. There has been a lot more developments on Mr. Mike Vrabel.
There have been no developments.
You know, it was funny where someone in the chat said, oh, like, why shouldn't Vrabel resign? And we're like, oh, this and that. Literally the next day, the day of the draft, we're like, yeah, he should resign. I was sitting there, I'm just like, yeah, he should probably resign. He's not going to, of course, because he would have. You know, in terms of scandal, the funniest fucking thing to me is he's just like, yeah, I'm going to miss day 3 of the draft to go to counseling. You don't need counseling to not cheat on your fucking wife. Especially
he does.
Especially retroactively. You don't need counseling for that. Just don't be a scumbag and birth potentially 2 of Diana Rossini's children. I don't actually believe that. But her naming the kid Michael...
I certainly don't believe that Vrabel birthed the children.
I don't believe he birthed the children, but her naming the child Michael is dastardly. Like... I'm thinking about inventing a new word to describe that because that is so dirty, man.
Saw someone say Vrabel really threw it all away for a 4. I was like, man, yeah.
A 4 what?
4 Loco, because that bitch crazy. No,
would. Well,
Your standards are so low.
Just because
your standards are so low, they are about the same
Just
distance below ground
because-
as a Vietnam War veteran was buried.
Because
like a war that ended 100 years ago. That is where.
Did you see my
it's
hall
not-
pass
hasn't been
tweet?
That long, but yes, I saw your hall pass.
My
tweet.
top 3 hall passes: current day Nancy Pelosi, Hawk to a Girl, and Lori from Shark Tank.
Which is just the
Honorable
widest
mention
variety
to
of
Marjorie
people,
Taylor Greene.
because the first and third people in that list are like incredibly comparable, and then Hawk to a Girl is like, that bitch is crazy, but like that's an objectively attractive younger like woman versus all of these old skeleton bitches that you're putting in your list to surround her. So
But yeah,
you need
Diana
to be fucking,
Rossini-
you need counseling.
Diana
Anybody
Rossini.
needs
Yeah,
counseling.
me and Mike Vrabel are hanging out at counseling.
You and Mike Vrabel need group counseling.
You know what's funny? I told a girl that I'm speaking to a woman. I just told her about the
How old is
podcast
she,
this
80?
morning. Not quite.
Okay.
I just told her about the podcast this morning. So what if she's just like listening, and this is the first glimpse she gets of me, is talking about.
I mean, if you're talking to a girl that's willing to listen to this fucking podcast,
well,
then
I don't know if
already-
she's willing to. She didn't
already
say
a
she was
winner.
gonna, but I told her about it this morning, and now she knows it exists. Well, football.
Football, yeah.
In UConn.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start things off here with draft winners and losers, just a couple of quick hitters, and then we'll get into the fantasy.
Well, first of all,
impact
before we necessarily
players.
get into winners, how do you feel about your Patriots? How would you?
Yeah. I think the Patriots had really a second consecutive draft that I'm just like, yeah, like nice, kind of just addressing needs one by one. First round, you get Caleb Lomu at 28th overall, or was it 28th overall? I think, yeah, they traded up
a little bit. Yeah.
We all watched Drake May get Roman Reigns, Goldberg speared 800 times in that playoff in over the course of the playoffs. So getting large men to protect him is definitely the move. I don't think or know that Caleb Lomu is going to slide in to start on that offensive line right away, as you wouldn't necessarily guarantee of somebody getting drafted that late in the first round. But Morgan Moses is 85 years old, as good and solid of a lineman as he's been. So we definitely need to get some guys on that line to continue shoring it up. If Lomu pans out, we've got him and Will Campbell there to kind of hold things down for a while. And I love it. I love continuing to address the offensive line for a team that is just clearly the biggest need. Then they went, I don't know how to pronounce this man's name. I haven't heard it said out loud, but Gabe Jackus, I don't know, whatever. Guy from Illinois.
Yaka,
is it
I think it
Yaka
was
Flock of
Yakas.
Flame?
Yeah, I think it was.
Versatile defender. I do know that about him. I saw a lot of Bears fans really wanted him on their team. So I was a fan of that pick, just again addressing a need there on defense. And then tight end, they drafted Eli Raritan with their 3rd round pick.
Yeah, relatively early.
The tight end room is pretty decrepit beyond Hunter Henry. Lost Austin Hooper, who underratedly really good player for us last year.
Austin Hooper's just been a really solid player.
He's
for a
always
decade.
a really good depth
He's
tight
never
end.
never gonna light it up or be like a top tight end, but he's just a guy you want on your team.
Yeah, so losing him, kind of sucks, but this is a potential stab at a tight end of the future. Hopefully it works out better than the tight end of the future attempts we've had over the years.
Hello, Austin Safarian Jenkins.
Hello.
No, that was well after the fact.
Well, that was also the Jets.
Hello, Aaron Hernandez.
Hello, Devin Asiasi and Dalton.
Oh my
Dalton
God,
Keene.
I remember though.
And Dalton Keene, same
Dalton
draft.
Keene was really
same draft.
I remember they were
both-
talking about them as like a Gronk Hernandez.
Yes,
type
they
duo.
were, which
Hopefully,
is fucking hilarious. And
Hopefully,
didn't work.
Devin Asiasi has not gone down the Aaron Hernandez path.
Yeah, Asiasi.
I saw like
oi,
one of those
oi, oi.
documentaries on him. My dad was watching, and his
On Aaron
and his
Hernandez? What did
fiance
he
the
do?
whole time was just like, he was in with such a bad crowd. This was so unlike him. He killed several people.
He was.
This
he
is
was the bad
exactly
crowd.
like him.
He killed the bad crowd.
This is exactly like him. Don't blame Bristol, Connecticut. That's what they're like.
Hey,
he
the
brought
mean
a lot,
streets
they're
of
like,
Bristol.
He brought a lot of people from Bristol. Very sad. It's just like, he was up. Don't be engaged to a piece of raging shit who is now dead.
She's
Sorry.
not. She's not engaged anymore. Yeah,
True.
yeah. So
She's engaged to the narrative of whatever.
let her believe what she wants to believe. Her man's dead, and her life is in not great shape, probably. Happy with the Patriots draft. Just continuing to address those needs, trying to recoup, some of the pieces lost or some of the shortcomings that they had that forced them to get bodied in the Super Bowl. I mean, how you feel about the Raiders? That pretty par for the course with the Raiders. Took Mendoza, so didn't botch it.
They have so many needs that unless you like severely reached on someone, they really weren't going to have a bad pick. I'm just mainly shocked that they did not take a wide receiver. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yeah.
Just because
definitely interesting.
With
a lot of holes that weren't filled. We'll talk about that fantasy-wise.
Yeah,
just across the league, like clearly fertile spots for potential contributors that just did not get filled.
You end up taking Malik Benson from Oregon, who 3 years ago was playing in community college in the 6th round. So I don't know how much impact he's going to have. But, first of all, you trade Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
For nothing. I got a text from our loyal listener, Alex. It goes, is Tyree Wilson that bad? Yes. Yes, he was. The guy was slower than me on the jump.
That's
like
impressive.
that man, the ball would get snapped and it would look like that man was in cement. He was terrible. And just another Josh McDaniels Raiders Aster class there. But the rest of the draft, great. I mean, the Jermon McCoy pick could be historic value.
Yeah.
We're talking a top 15. Mel Kiper called him a potential top 10 pick that they get to start the 4th round. I was like rooting for Skylar Bell from UConn. Every time they were on the clock, I was like, Skylar Bell. And I'm like, I'm going to be disappointed if it's not Skylar Bell. And then I saw it was McCoy, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, but
consolation.
They really helped the secondary out, which is good. They got a lineman, Trey Zoom, Zaboomafu.
I think it's Zune. It's all at Texas A&M's finest, by the way.
Yeah, so they really did a good job filling out that roster. Outside of not taking a receiver with a more of a valuable pick, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I wouldn't call them necessarily one of like the winners or losers, but they had a good draft.
Yeah.
And speaking of draft winners and losers.
Speaking of, as if I didn't already. Oh, wait, I do have the ouch. Oh, no, I don't. Didn't work. I wanted to play it.
The ouch?
It's the ouch sound effect. I just wanted to play it because I saw it on here. It's giving me a exclamation mark because it's broken. Whatever.
Sad.
I'll figure it out. Draft winners and losers here, as we alluded to before. Just a couple of teams that I felt really outdid their expectations here. Now, look, the New York Giants are going to be one of my winners. They had 2 first-round picks because of the Dexter Lawrence trade. They were certainly well positioned to be a winner after this first round, but I feel like it went better than even they could have hoped.
God.
Arvell Reese, a consensus mocked, top 2 at worst.
He
top
might have
3
been
pick.
the number 1 pick if Fernando Mendoza didn't exist.
Yeah, and they get him all the way down at number 5. There are questions about a bit of a logjam at the position with him because they were unable to trade Kayvon Thibodeau, blah, blah, blah. He's the best, not the best, because, it's easy to say that about a prospect before they've stepped on the field, but he's such a high-level prospect and high-level talent that you draft him and you figure out the rest later.
I was about to say, you figure it out because I remember watching both of their picks and just sitting there like, these motherfuckers are really going to do this, aren't they? And, I thought he was a Titan for sure, Reese, but then they went Garnell Tate, which we'll talk a lot more about later. But, so, and then to get Mauanoa at 10 is an even bigger robbery.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great pick.
Again, and it wasn't necessarily besides the Spencer Fano at 9. When they took Spencer Fano, I was just like, what? Not that, I didn't think he's bad, but I'm like, Mauanoa's right there.
Yeah.
Right there. And yeah, for them to get him at 10 when I feel like that line's always going to be a problem. Like it turns
New York
out
Giants in a bad offensive line.
Turns out Andrew Thomas after the years of mockery is just a fucking stud.
Yeah.
And outside of that, they're going to need help for the rest of eternity on that offensive line. So just they made out like thieves there in that top 10. Like couldn't have gone better. No. I would argue for them.
And I mean, I've made the joke like after they signed Daniel Falele, like they needed to draft a lineman because if Giants fans had to sit there and watch that man play offensive line every game as a starter, Giants fans would actually be on
bring UConn legend Will Beatty out of retirement.
Bring UConn.
That guy was terrible.
Didn't they have another UConn guy on the line? They had they definitely did. Matt Parrott was a Giant for
yes.
I think he might. Last I checked, he was depth on the Broncos. I don't know if he's still there, but
Will Beatty's been out of the league since 2017.
Well,
and he's 41. Bring him back.
Bring him back. He's ready. It's like the same age as Morgan Moses.
Kent Bazemore is ready if needed.
But yeah, good draft for the Giants. Got Colton Hood in the second round at cornerback, Malachi Fields as a wide receiver to put some depth behind that room because they did not spend a premium pick on a receiver like some thought they might, which just
maybe they would have had
it
not been for like Tate going at 4 and then don't tell me Jordan Tyson going 8th.
Certainly possible. And I mean, that brings up just, Malik Neighbors, man, to the moon fantasy-wise. Like this guy, if he can just stay healthy
and we know Dart, we saw Dart elevate, Theo Johnson. Who the fuck was their tight end? Theo Johnson, am I losing it?
Yeah, it's Theo Johnson.
Theo Johnson. Yeah. And we saw players on the Giants do well with Jackson Dart under center. So you put a guy with Neighbors' skill, that's a first-round pick.
Yeah.
That's a first-round pick for sure.
Definitely. Another draft winner I had here is fellow NFC East counterpart, the Dallas Cowboys.
Boo. I mean, he's right, but boo.
I mean, mainly just for getting Caleb Downs at pick 11.
That's the thing with this draft kind of going goofy. There were some incredible values, and Caleb Downs is another one, and especially in a big need.
I mean, Caleb Downs was a lot of people's favorite just player in the draft. Like, this was the guy that I felt like I saw fan bases, even the Giants, who, did pretty well in their own right. They still had their fans hoping that they would be able to secure Caleb Downs, but ultimately it ends up being the Cowboys here at the 11th overall pick. This could very well end up being a Micah Parsons level of impact player on that defense, a defense that so desperately needs to get to the level of the offense if they want to actually make a Super Bowl run here, because God knows they have the talent on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively they're just so lacking. Then they doubled up in the first round with Malachi Lawrence at the 23rd overall pick.
I don't think it was necessarily a bad pick, but I thought there were some other guys of that position in that area. Like, that just wasn't the name I was expecting.
Yeah,
I was expecting more of a Keldrick Falk, which I had about 300 picks too high. And can I glaze something real quick?
Oh, feel free. Krispy Kreme.
I'm doing this mainly because I know these people. The ESPN DraftCast is fantastic online. Like, I'm not just saying this because I work for the department that directly creates this. I don't, absolutely not. But shout out to my good friends who make this happen. I had it up the entire draft, and even looking at it now, all the recaps and stuff, phenomenal. ESPN gets a lot of shit, deserved. Oh, whoops. I mean, not deserved at all. Hit a boing. There it is.
But
ESPN, yeah, awesome.
ESPN's always been good with their UI. It's their content prioritization and analysis that sometimes is lacking. But like, even their fantasy app, some people pretend
their fantasy app is
they want all these features and stuff. But like again,
I still prefer it to Sleeper.
Sleeper is necessary for like dynasty leagues and stuff. But like, it's confusing. It's messy. And then one final winner here, we've got the Cleveland Browns. Now,
oh my God,
it's time to acknowledge the fact that the Browns are absolutely, we're not finally acknowledging this. This is always being acknowledged. The Browns are the butt of the joke of the league pretty much at all times.
What?
However, we are now 2 straight years where they're only the butt of the joke because of the quarterback position. They bungle that position so poorly and have their priorities so backwards that it somehow is overshadowing the great work that they've been doing everywhere else. Last year's draft that they had was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Carson Schlesinger was amazing. Quinshawn Judkins was great. Like, they had Harold Fannin. They had great picks all over the place, and they did that again this year. Spencer Fano at the 9th overall pick. Casey Concepcion at the 24th overall pick. My draft crush of the season.
And Denzel Boston.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, Mike Greenberg is not David Boston's son. Like,
did he say that?
Confidently said, and then had to retract it the next day. I was like, because when they said it, I went, oh, I didn't know it was David Boston's son. He's just not.
He's just not.
He's just not. And then they got our boy EMW, who we had as a first-round pick in our mock, going in the late second as well.
And they got Justin Jefferson. Didn't know Alabama had a linebacker named Justin Jefferson, but they do, and
they helped a lot. Outside of Fano, you get Austin Barber, you get Parker Brailsford, who I thought was going to be a potential like night 2 guy, who goes that late. And they get Taylon Green at the quarterback position.
Interesting.
So my thought is just here is that whichever of those 3 stooges is going to play quarterback, which genuinely, like, I think it's probably going to be Shedeur Sanders. And I think they're doing everything possible to try to give him the best opportunity to succeed. It may turn out he's just bad. And I think we're going to truly find out this year if Shedeur Sanders is just bad.
Yeah.
Because they're giving him more wide receivers, not just depth, but top of the line guys. They're protecting him on the line. That defense is going to be stellar no matter what. If we don't see some kind of jump from him, it might just be Jover.
Yeah.
And there is still a chance we see Groper Cleveland as well.
Yeah, I feel like the reports go back and forth every single day with which of those quarterbacks is more likely to play. But I mean, I love the Taylor Green dart throw in the 6th round here. Like, this is a guy that basically matches just the Anthony Richardson archetype. And I think time will tell if it was an overcorrection to let a guy like Green with these measurables fall this far. Maybe it was the right move. Maybe guys with this archetype are just, it worked with Josh Allen and it's never going to work again. But this is a guy that 6'6", 220, like, ran a crazy 40. Like, this
is me, about a foot shorter though.
This is a freak athlete. And it's a fair question, can he fucking play quarterback? Because at Arkansas, at times, it did not look like he could.
He may not be a quarterback, though, and he could still be.
True, but
as Alex called him, Terrell Pryor.
But the fact that, you get a guy with those measurables who I think prior to the Anthony Richardson pick, he might have snuck into the 1st round just off of the experimental value of it. I love that. I love taking that dart throw on him, and he's maybe the only quarterback in that room that I'm like actively interested to watch because I just think everybody else is trash or a shit person. Dylan Gabriel's a fine fella, but he's just so mid that I don't care.
Also, football news, ESPN has signed a new deal with Ian Rappaport, which is a funny conversation to say because ESPN bought NFL Network and now they've agreed to finalizing a new deal where he will stay with the network. That will be interesting. Because Schefter, was so defiantly said, I'm not retiring.
Ian Rappaport was signed with ESPN?
Technically, because ESPN bought NFL Network.
Oh, I guess.
But now they're finally assimilating it together.
Interesting.
So, apparently, they're going to coexist somehow.
Maybe he and Schefter can, locker box naked in a kiddie pool filled with mud.
Do it in the basement of Building 4.
I'll watch. I'll tune in. I'll buy a ticket.
I saw Jim Boeheim in the basement of Building 4 once, and I was just thankful that he wasn't behind the wheel of the car.
I was gonna say, I was like,
it was bad that I made.
Is there a prison down there?
Someone was like, "There's Jim Boeheim." I'm like, "Well, good thing he wasn't driving." I'm surprised I have. Well, I mean, I don't even know if I work there anymore. I haven't been there in 6 months, but I'm going back Saturday potentially.
Well,
big news.
You'll find out if your key card still works. You'll find out if your key card still works, or if you're gonna be Jamal Adamsing outside the door.
Oh, they cut me.
The fuck. All right, a couple of losers before we get into fantasy impact. The 49ers guys. Listen. There's been a lot of discourse in this draft in particular about what teams do versus what the consensus draft board is, because teams, have their own priorities. They have their own culture fits. They have their own scheme fits that they need to take into account. So it's not always going to fall the way the consensus boards do, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad draft. With that said, the 49ers had a bad draft. Every single player, essentially, that they took was a massive reach, kicking things off with Dejon Stribling, who was nowhere close to one of the best receivers available in this draft. Now, look, maybe he has a great career and proves us all wrong, but I kind of fucking doubt it. And the Niners they reached so hard on every pick that it just gave off this vibe of them thinking they are smarter than absolutely everybody. And maybe they'd have a point if they had a little more success in the draft over these last 5 years or so, because they really haven't. I think back, and I'm like, no, they've been good in the draft, right? They've drafted guys like Fred Warner, and they've drafted guys like Trent Williams, and it's like, yeah, these picks were a long fucking time ago at this point, and the hits
few
have become
and far between.
Yeah. So
I was shocked by the Stribling pick, as were the pundits. They were just like,
who?
Yeah, it was more so just like, this guy is fine. There's several people behind.
Yeah. And then you got other picks: Romello Height from Texas Tech, Kalen Black at running back from Indiana, Grayson Halton from Oklahoma. Just so many picks that made you scratch your head. The 49ers were not the only team that did that, though. They weren't even the only team in their own division that did that. Another draft loser I had here is the Los Angeles Rams. Look, I don't. It's just I guess, a fundamental philosophical difference between the public and people like me and NFL teams that. Because we felt the same way about what the Falcons did a couple years ago, before we knew that the Kirk Cousins thing was going to completely fall apart. Why, when you are trying to build a contender, does it seem like these teams just get content with what they have instead of trying to go put it over the top and just have as many pieces as possible to try to accomplish that goal? Like, if you like the way your roster is right now, great. Good for you. It doesn't mean it's enough. Like, to have that kind of arrogance of, yeah, the roster's already Super Bowl ready. Let's just draft Ty Simpson to have a shot at the quarterback of the future versus whatever player could even move the needle 0.5% toward helping you win the Super Bowl.
Which at 13, everyone should.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
It's baffling to me, and especially since a lot of the reports are that if Simpson didn't get drafted by the Rams, he might not have gone in the first round. And whether that's
or they would have jumped back in.
Yeah, the Rams would have just gone. It's weird to me. I don't understand. It's like trying to have your cake and eat it too before you've actually had the cake. And I mean, I love me some cake, but like, guys, you're not the defending Super Bowl champions. Fucking keep drafting players that will help you toward that goal. Why are we worry about that when the time comes? I understand you need to get a quarterback to replace Matthew Stafford. Guy's old. He's only got maybe a couple years, if more than one, left in him. But like, you are so built to win now. Your fan base is not going to be mad if you're in quarterback hell coming off of a fucking Super Bowl win. They're just not. It was a weird move to me.
Especially in a first round where, it looks like about 12 picks changed hands. 6, 8, 10, 16 picks changed hands at some point. Some well beforehand. Trade back.
Yeah.
Like, again, we look at the Packers taking Jordan Love about 6 years ago now, I think. It was at 27. You're 13. That is a huge, especially with guys falling. Look who went right after. Ola Yanoe, I believe that was. Reuben Bain was there. Yeah. Again, that defense. Kenyon Sadiq, Blake Miller. Caleb Banks was a bad pick, by the way. Monroe Freeling, Mekhi Lemon. Like, there were plenty of guys that went right after that they could have taken that would have helped them significantly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird move for sure.
And the thing is, if this works out and Ty Simpson turns into something, brilliant. I don't think Ty Simpson's that guy.
No, I don't either.
That's what I mean. It's like, if I thought Ty Simpson was that guy, whatever. Like, it's like, okay, you could have done this, but yeah, I'm not confident that he's going to be
it was the guy who's already a questionable prospect, and then to sacrifice, getting a piece that could help you win, get over that hump again with Matthew Stafford still under contract, or still playing.
Especially when you could have traded back, which would have given you, more assets later in the draft, or even moving up later in the draft. It just makes no sense to me, the pick. And that's really the only one. Well, I guess Caleb Banks is a bad pick too. But looking at the draft, that's the only one where I'm just like, wow, that was a bad pick.
Yeah, that was a weird one. And then the other loser I had was a GM coming from the Rams, James Gladstone, with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, look,
Joey Gladstone?
It's hard to be that much of a draft loser when you didn't even have a first-round pick. But the Jags somehow figured it out. James Gladstone's on thin ice, in the court of public opinion here, because last year I glazed the shit out of him. I mean, I glazed the shit out of him as recently as a month ago, saying I trust him to do whatever he needs to do in this draft because he's a smart guy. I am now moving toward the side thinking that he thinks he is too smart for everybody else and wants to do the big brain thing at all times, which was reach about 1 million picks on Nate Borkercher,
who had 19 receptions last year. Mel Kiper had him at 127. He goes at 56. Again, because, a lot of these, these draft analysts don't like to blast these kids. They're college. Mm-hmm. They were all just kind of like, he doesn't catch the ball.
Yeah.
They were like, well, there's some themes for these players, and this guy's is blocking.
As my fellow content creator Drew Allen put about Nate Borkercher and the Jaguars draft pick of him, look, yes, he might not catch passes, and yes, he might not have had any very good measurables or done well at the combine, but he's also old.
He's
So
old.
it's three strikes on Borkacher's going to turn 25 this year in September.
But the thing, blocking tight ends, you never hear about him. That's what I thought about in on day 2 or day 3. After round 3 of the draft, I'm just like, there are going to be so many guys this year. They're going to catch 2 touchdowns. That's going to make everyone just go, what the fuck? When
the parlays are going to go crazy.
When we want to, who's even going to catch a touchdown on the Jags this year?
Parker Washington.
Yeah, when you need a BTJ touchdown to win, Nate Borkacher is going to get his first catch of the year, and it's going to be a touchdown, and you're going to be absolutely fucking livid. And there's so many more of that. There's so many more. Well, didn't 2 Ohio State tight ends get taken in the second round? Or the second and third round.
They may have. There's a lot of
Max
tight
Clare
ends,
got taken by the
avalanche.
Rams, who actually might be something. I believe there was another Ohio State one that I'm looking that got taken shortly thereafter, where they basically just did Will Kazmarek on the Dolphins. Yeah, this year's draft has a tight end of every flavor, and the flavor here is blocking. So it's this is going to be so many guys that are it's going to be cuck city.
Yeah.
Not just for cucking other tight ends. They're just going to be catching touchdowns that could go to anyone else.
Yeah.
Anyone else. It's going to be hysterical.
Yeah. We're watching you, James Gladstone, because you no longer look. The Travis Hunter thing already played out pretty poorly in year 1. The
I
goodwill.
missed that news completely that he was going to defense.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll still see him
was
occasionally.
I think it was overstated a little bit. It's he's going to prioritize that side, but he's probably still going to play a decent amount of snaps on offense. But yeah, Gladstone, the shiny new young cool GM thing is wearing off.
Someone should
need to hope this draft class worked
a
out.
Dave Coulier edit from Full House, Joey Gladstone with a fucking puppet. That'll go platinum if he starts being a bum.
All right, let's get into the potential fantasy impact players in 2026. Now, we might not go through every player on this list because there's a lot of players on here. But
yeah, we may do a quick run at the end.
Yeah, sure. Focusing on the offensive side of the ball here, we'll go position by position, starting at quarterback. In all likelihood, none of these guys will be fantasy impact players in 2026. Maybe Mendoza, depending when he gets on the field, but I'm leaning real close.
Why in the fucking world would you even consider starting Kirk Cousins for a single game over Fernando Mendoza? That's the biggest thing I've seen is when should Mendoza start? What do you mean when the fuck do you think Mendoza should start? He should start week 1. They showed all the other top number 1 picks, quarterbacks, Caleb and Trevor Lawrence and all that. They all started week 1. For Kirk Cousins, we have our Lord and Savior, Fernando, here. And this isn't even about me just going on a dramatic tirade. They genuinely, there's no reason not to start him. There's no, and the thing is we've seen last year with Cam Ward, they gave him the keys pretty early. It's a confidence thing. Confidence matters. You say, hey, this is your team. Go get him, sport. So he needs to be starting week 1. And the thing is he, I just saw Alex say Patrick Mahomes starting week 17. Well, Fernando's better. No. Well, Patrick Mahomes wasn't the number 1 pick. The Chiefs were a great team, and they had Alex Smith, who was a much more capable quarterback at that point in his career. The Raiders have none of that. This is the starting. And obviously, Fernando himself probably won't be particularly fantasy relevant, but it's more so about what does he do for Brock Bowers? What does he do for whichever receiver potentially emerges? And it's the floor for the whole offense, for Ashton Genty as well. I don't see it.
I'm okay with them wanting to sit him for year 1. I think you don't see it a lot in the modern NFL anymore, so we've definitely been conditioned away from it.
Yes, I have.
But we haven't. It's not an impossibility either. I mean, the last one. There's probably one more recent. Maybe not. The most recent one I can remember was Jared Goff sitting behind who the fuck was Sean Hill and Austin Davis or whatever the fuck the Rams quarterback situation was when he first got drafted. Jared Goff did not play year 1, and Jared Goff ended up with a good career. Either way, I don't think sitting versus not sitting is this all determining choice that dictates how your career is going to go. I just think I watched Drake May sit for half of his rookie year. And for a big part of that reason was, or a big reason for that was the offensive line was just so bad. They just wanted to give it some time to gel and figure out it was going to be bad no matter what when Drake got out there. But it was, what is the best version that we could get out of this line to make it the least shit possible to protect Mendoza? Because there's also just a chance that with how bad that line is, they throw Kirk out there. Mendoza's starting by week 2 anyway because Kirk's leg is in 2 pieces. So, that's something.
Or his neck has a gaping hole.
That's something you have to think about. I respect wanting wanting Fernando Mendoza to start just because you want to see him play because he's the better player, obviously. But I just think that I would not be surprised, and I don't hate the move. We've heard them preach this for months now with Clint Kubiak saying he would ideally like to see his quarterback sit, if they can afford it. But yes, fantasy wise, especially in terms of the supporting cast, I definitely have more confidence in Brock Bowers, in Ashton Genty, if Mendoza's under center there, because the days of Kirk Cousins leading this super potent fantasy offense are behind us. Can he do enough to keep those guys afloat? Sure, maybe. But it's not enough for me to be confident spending early picks on those guys.
And one thing, our boy T said a couple things. He said, rare Pat L. First of all, there's nothing rare about it. That's common. And second of all, Brady sat a year. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, that's
of course he sat behind Drew Bledsoe.
That's a bad comparison.
This is the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
What do I ultimately end up? I got to put some money on it. I think he starts week 1.
Really? I really don't think he does.
I think he forces their hand with his massive charm and charisma. I saw the thing where it was Fernando talking to Max Crosby and it's Miranda Cosgrove going I do cuss a little bit. And they're like, what's your favorite cuss word? Fuck, I guess. That's literally going to be Fernando the second he meets Max Crosby.
Okay.
And all these other examples, this was 20 years ago. Carson Palmer, Phillip Rivers. Again, you're not wrong.
Yeah, that's my thing though. Is it
20 plus years ago?
Does that mean it was wrong of them to do that? Because I think if nothing else, we're seeing evidence to the contrary of these guys playing year 1 they're not lighting it up.
For Bryce Young, it was bad, but then it turned out okay.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I think so much of it is letting the situation kind of marinate and play out and just get a little bit. Because when you get drafted number 1 overall, you're going to a bad team. Obviously, that's how that goes 99% of the time, unless there was some fucky trade that gave a good team a high pick.
Yeah.
But it's with Cam Ward last year, even not that him sitting was ever a thought or an option.
I think it benefited him that he was out there playing, though. I think the reps help. I do.
Here's the thing, maybe, but also if they had committed to him sitting from day 1. And instead of having to go out there and pretend that a team coached by Brian Callahan and a wide receiving core of Alec Iomanner and dead Calvin Ridley was enough,
DK.
You give your team another year to figure things the fuck out. Now he's heading into this year throwing to Carnell Tate, to Wan'Dale Robinson. He has Brian Daboll as his OC, which
handsome,
maybe not great, is better than what he had. Does that year help just because it was a year that he had on the field, or would starting things off with a bit more cohesion and confidence be better? This is the everlasting, debate. And I don't know that there's a right answer, but I definitely see both sides.
And again, T here says that he doesn't think that he's on the level of Williams, Lawrence, Burrow. I think I agree, but I think he's closer to them than he is to the Bryce Youngs and Cam Ward. I think he's more closer to being a stud QB prospect as opposed to just sort of hey, this guy just so happens to be the first pick.
I agree. I don't think it was just a by default first pick.
And I really hate to say this because I hate this guy. If Carson Beck is going to succeed in the NFL, Arizona is the spot where he would do it.
Stop.
I'm just saying,
stop it.
I don't think
he
it's
won't.
going to... No, well, the thing is, I don't disagree. I don't think he will either. But as soon as they made that pick, I just went, shit. Because you've got a guy in Jacoby Brissett who is solid, passable, a starting quarterback. He's going to be their guy. But he's not a long-term piece. To hit the fart noise. But he is going to be... Exactly. If it were to work out, he's in a situation where there is no one really standing in front of him long term. It is a Mike LaFleur offense. Do I think it happens? No. But I do think if it were to happen, it happens here, and I hate it.
No. Carson Beck.
Again, I'm not saying it's gonna happen.
Carson Beck is so
So are the Kavinder sisters.
Goofy quarterback. Throws picks like it's his fucking job.
It is his job to throw.
He's not the picks. He is so fucking bad. His name is just on here because, there's a good chance he starts some games this year, just because it might happen circumstantially.
Well, yeah, Brissett gets hurt.
If Carson Beck starts games, run. Hey, you've drafted Trey McBride. You've drafted Michael Wilson. You've drafted Jeremiah. Run. Sell him off for 70 cents on the dollar and be happy, because this man is
Again, I don't disagree, but it
sounds like you do disagree. You're painting a world where he plays and is serviceable. I'm saying if it is going to happen, literally out of all 32 teams, if it is going to happen, it's going to be Arizona, because they suck so fucking bad. No. Okay, last
But speaking of guys that might play immediately,
last quarterback Drew Aller, also
but again, so is don't tell me the West Virginia kid, Penn State kid, see, I don't even know his name.
You were close. Ohio State, Will Howard.
God, see,
national
champion.
Will Howard.
Him and Drew Aller. Oh, Drew Aller went to Penn State. Dumb fuck. I'm like, who went to Penn State then? If they don't sign Aaron Rodgers, these two having a mid off. And mid might be generous. These two having an ass off. Hey, yo. Shout out. I'd go Bober over MTG. Good pull. Sorry. We're talking about Congresswomen again.
What? Okay, terrific.
Shout out Mr. Thug Nasty 41.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Drew Aller, the last time the Steelers drafted an in-state quarterback, it worked out really well.
At least they didn't use like the 23rd pick on him this time.
That's true.
At the very least. But again, that's going to be the nastiest competition ever. If
I pray it doesn't come
Rodgers, or they may go get somebody, go get Kirk Cousins. They may go get somebody else to mix in if Rodgers isn't there, but
Phillip Rivers is available.
That offense is
gross,
disgusting.
Like that.
I feel very much for the likes of DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman and our boy Pat Fryermuth, and I mean the running backs will probably be fine, but that's not great. It feels like they went from Mike Tomlin to fat white Mike Tomlin in Mike McCarthy, handsome by the way, and now, if it's Drew Aller, it's nasty. But let's look at some more positive things.
Let's look at some positives, even though Jeremiah Love might have gone to the worst of the realistic options that he could have gone.
If you take a guy at number 3 overall, you are using him. Yeah. I don't care. They didn't even pay Tyler Algier a ton, right? I mean, they paid him
$6 million a year,
which is not nothing.
I mean, but for with the cap going up, it's closer to nothing than it was if he got $6 million last year.
I genuinely do feel for James Conner, who was at the draft making picks for the Cardinals. I think his goose is cooked there. I think he's just genuinely done. I don't think think he'll be a Cardinal to start the year. Just from the perspective of, you signed Tyler Algier, younger, healthier, or maybe they're probably around the same age because, Tyler Algier, one of those BYU guys.
Tyler Algier is actually 35.
35, yeah.
4 kids.
Taysom Hill looking on. So you draft Jeremiah Love. He's playing. And you bring in Tyler Algier, who seems to be more of the complement second guy.
Which is unfortunate because apparently he thought he was going to be the starter. There was a report that he signed with them under the impression that he was going to be the starter, and then he just gets Bijan'd again, which is fucked up.
So genuinely, this guy. I mean, Love had more draft capital used than Bijan. We'll see how good he is. But people, like you said, it is a bad one in theory, just based on the depth chart. I think he's a second round pick in fantasy. I would probably say, if he went to a better situation, maybe I'd say first. But at the end of the day, he's still Jeremiah Love. He's still, he's got all the talent. He's gonna get the job. There will be some Tyler Algier, just like Mike LaFleur being a Shanahan and a McVay head, where it's like they love to throw some guy in to piss everyone off. Well, not McVay, but more so the Shanahan tree, where the guys like to come in and piss everybody off. But I don't think it'll be that much of a logjam. Trey Benson just kind of sucks, and he's hurt. And James Conner, like I said, I don't think James Conner's a Cardinal to start the year, unfortunately, because, good guy, or he'll be out there just to kind of be there.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting, looking at it as it stands here on April 29th. Like, I agree with you. Something has to change, and the only logical change for that backfield is James Conner, going somewhere.
I'm sure they could save some money, too.
They just signed Tyler Algier. They just draft Jeremiah Love. And it's simply pretty unprecedented to have 3 guys in the same backfield that, if they were all on the roster to start the season, you think to yourself, like, they'd have to make touches for all 3 of those guys. Like, yes, you scale it. Obviously, Jeremiah Love gets the most. You just spent the 3rd overall pick on the guy. Tyler Algier gets complimentary, work because they signed him as a complimentary back. But, like, James Conner, him being there just makes it so odd and so difficult to predict if he does end up there, to start the season, because no team willingly uses 3 backs. They don't. Like, no team willingly goes into a week.
Except for, like, the fucking Giants 20 years ago when they had Earth, Wind, and Fire with, like, Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw.
Well, even then, it was only them 2, right?
No, Derek Ward was in there as well.
Okay,
he was But no, teams, you're right.
The only time teams use 3 backs is if the 3 backs are bad. And so they are like, whatever.
And Jeremiah Love is not bad. Tyler Algier is not bad.
No, so...
And James Conner, in theory, unfortunately, the injuries and the age should not be bad either.
Yeah.
Alone. And if he does get cut, I do think he winds up somewhere where he has some opportunity for touches. But
Washington Commanders, come on down.
Genuinely, that might be a good spot for him.
Tennessee Titans, come on down. You and
Las
Pollard
Vegas Raiders, come on down.
No.
But
leave Genty alone.
And now, so there was another surprise pick in the first round here. We had 2 Notre Dame running backs, including Jadarian Price, who has never started a game in his college career, which is what happens when you're behind someone as talented as Jeremiah Love. But that doesn't mean that he's not talented in his own right, and he is going to a place where the opportunity is there. He goes to Seattle, where right now the only healthy guy is Manny Wilson, and Zach Charbonnet will obviously jump back into a shared role. Because we have to imagine that they'll kind of keep this shared role with Charbonnet and then Price, but especially to start the year, I mean, they use a first rounder on him. I like Price way more than Emmanuel Wilson, but ultimately, he's not someone I'm nuts about. I think they could have waited a little bit, or maybe traded out of the first and taken him early in the second round.
Maybe. I mean,
because who was the next running back taken? Was it Jonah Coleman? Was it Mike Washington? I don't even know.
I think
Raiders got Mike Washington. Love that, by the way.
I think it was Mike Washington.
I'm looking right now.
Let's see.
It was probably someone the 40. It was fucking Kalen Black for the 49ers. God, the 49ers.
That's right. No, I mean, look, I think the pick made sense. This was a pick that I saw mocked a lot. I mean,
it makes sense.
The draft, the question was, is it worth taking Jadarian Price that high? Seahawks decided it was. The fact that they decided it was does make me more interested in him for this upcoming season. Again, only having Emmanuel Wilson there healthy. There's been chatter that Charbonnet might just not really play much at all this year.
If that's
the case, yeah, it definitely becomes more interesting. I think you look at Price as kind of a flex guy with, even a higher ceiling. So yeah, I'm certainly interested in Price with the defending Super Bowl champions,
Absolutely.
a team that's going to be able to theoretically control some clock, be able to run the ball as much as they want to. It's worth comparing to some other situations. Like, it is always tough when it's a guy who's a backup to another guy. Like, you look at Roshan Johnson, who played behind Bijan, and it was like, well, that didn't really turn into anything. And then the other guy, for different reasons that came to my mind, was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not because of being a backup, but because it for fantasy purposes, when a guy gets drafted this late in the first, it raises some red flags, just in terms of, how good should we expect this guy to be if all these other teams are willing to pass on him, but he still slipped into the first. I think that, for anybody getting flashbacks to him, just because it's 2 guys picked in the 30s basically of the first round. Clyde was a beneficiary of being on the best college football team of all time. Jadarian Price was not, and was just playing behind a guy who was really fucking good. That doesn't mean he can't himself be a top 20, 25 sort of talent at the position.
We've seen guys so much later do things. You saw James Robinson, an undrafted free agent. Have a great year. Also, speaking of the Jaguars, we already dumped on the Jags draft, so you're gonna have to go back and watch that. They
made,
stinky poo.
We made poo-poos on the Borkature and the Borka.
I think we can kind of loop these next three guys that I put here together.
Yeah.
From the sense that they were later picks, not a ton of capital, but we've seen guys with this kind of capital happen. There's multiple guys in front of all three of these guys, but there's a chance that they could be Jonah Coleman in Denver, Nicholas Singleton in Tennessee, and Katron Allen in Washington. We've already goofed on the Commanders' backfield a couple times today with Bill Krosky-Merritt and Rashad White and whoever the fuck else. So there's a real chance there, I think. We kind of talked about how we thought the Titans were going to get Jeremiah Love, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears are in trouble. If that still could be the case, there were a suspect backfield to begin with. And then you look at Denver, J.K. Dobbins has injury history. R.J. Harvey didn't look great.
Broncos country, let's ride.
R.J. Harvey didn't look fantastic last year. So it's like, there is a chance that these guys, they might be later in the year guys.
Yeah.
But I could see these, I think these three, even though with the later draft capital, I think those are guys that may be getting taken late in drafts.
Yeah, I think they'll all have some kind of opportunity. I think Jonah Coleman's probably the one that has the most immediate chance
because he's the best of the three, too.
Yeah, but he's also stepping into the, if you were to flip, him and Nicholas Singleton's landing spots, I think I would feel the same about Singleton, just because you look at Denver, you look at kind of what was an underwhelming Harvey last year, even though he had some pop-off games. J.K. Dobbins is just that steady Eddie veteran that's just doing what he's doing. And there's already reports that Coleman could have a role on the goal line at the very least, because he plays big. He plays big. Singleton steps into a backfield with Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, which, although we identified that backfield as one that was ample for a player to step in and get a good amount of touches, not necessarily when it's one as late drafted as Singleton. I feel like it's just going to be another year of Pollard and Spears, and they're going to be happy with that.
I think it will for the most part, but we've also got to think that those two are not Robert Saleh or Brian Daboll guys. They picked this guy, so there is a chance where some coaches are kind of stuck in their ways. But I do think that duo is good enough to maintain the backfield. But again, just a possibility. Again, similarly to Katron Allen, where it's like, as much as we love Bill Merritt, he had his big games too.
Right.
He wasn't fantastic.
He had a big game.
Well, he had a big game that was on
game.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that game vividly. And then as well as Rashad White, who you kind of know what you're going to get out of Rashad White. So there is opportunity for both of those guys. But yeah, it's pretty much Love is a sure thing. Yeah. Price, is going to be what do you think? Like a dead zone guy, I would say Price probably because Emmanuel Wilson's there. The looming Charbonnet, around 4 or 5 guy, and then the rest of those guys.
It does feel weird with as much of a rookie head as I've always been, that with Love I'm kind of I like him, but he's not a guy that I'm willing to hot take my way as a first round pick or anything like that. There's just
because you look at when Bijan was there, it was just wow, that Falcons offense is close enough to competing.
Yeah.
We didn't realize Arthur Smith was Osama bin Laden.
Arthur Smith was
Stalin, and even with
Osama.
Genty last year, I think everyone just overlooked the Raiders' shortcoming just because Genty was that fucking good in college. But with Price here, there's a little hesitation because it's just
yeah.
If he was on the Titans, I might say he was a first round pick.
Yeah.
But the Cardinals, it's just So, yeah, but the story of this draft, wide receivers.
Receivers be wide body.
We have a long list here. We're not going to be able to go through all of these guys.
Yeah, we will. Let's start with Zachariah Brent. No. Let's start with Carnell Tate. Obviously drafted a little bit higher than we would have expected here to the Tennessee Titans, but as far as a fantasy situation,
awesome.
Really, really awesome. I mean, he gets to go play across from Wan'Dale Robinson, who you're not worried about taking those really high value
he's gonna
sort
take
of receptions.
A high volume of receptions.
Yes.
But yes, Tate is going to be the guy. They've kind of got a nice setup there, Tate being your number one guy, Robinson being the volume guy, and then Chimere DK just running around doing whatever the hell he wants. And they lost our boy Chig. Chig's in Washington.
They lost Chig. Yeah,
I don't even know where their tight end is
I'm not even sure how much DK is really going to play because Calvin Ridley is still going to exist.
Well, and DK is just so fucking good on special teams.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
DK is going to be their Turpin.
Unmuted.
Pat, fucking trying to echo our shit into next week. But yeah, this ended up being a really nice, unexpected landing spot
Gunnar
for Carnell
Helm,
Tate.
by the way. and they have Daniel Bellinger and Kyle Grant. They just have all these tight ends that are just ass.
All these unexciting whites. So yeah, Carnell Tate goes to a place where he's going to get a good amount of volume. He's got a rebuilt offense. He's got a young up and coming gunslinging quarterback. Like it's all systems go for Carnell Tate.
No doubt about it.
So for redraft leagues, I'll be interested to see where exactly his stock ends up. But I mean, hard to not feel good about him as like a wide receiver 2 kind of guy in like the mid rounds.
And huge for Cam Ward. Huge for Cam Ward.
Huge for Cam
Ward.
So
finally, like now these two can lock together and say like, this is my guy. This is my guy.
Yeah.
And move forward.
Another quarterback who really benefited from this draft was Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson is the next receiver off the board. He goes to the New Orleans Saints. Bit of a knock to the Olave stock here, but
I think this keeps Olave from being like a tippity top elite option.
Yeah.
Olave, because you think about it, you trade Rashid Shaheed last year. They don't have much, like Jawan Johnson. They don't have much else to go around. So I think Tyson can get his while Olave can still be a wide receiver 1 over, a top 12 wide receiver overall.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of that offense, I we talked about it last year. I loved what Kellen Moore was doing, and I love it even more now. You get Travis Etienne and now Jordan Tyson in the mixer. They also drafted a tight end who
Oscar Delp.
Yeah,
Oscar Delp is very good.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like Jawan
fan.
Johnson's still poking around. He's solid. I love what they're doing, and I think Jordan Tyson just fills the offense out, gives them more depth. I think there's definitely a world where both him and Olave are solid fantasy players, but obviously I still expect Olave to be a wide receiver 1. Tyson, I think, is a guy that's sort of picking on your early bench type guy, but obviously talent's there, and I think the Saints, I'm not going to stake my flag and say they win the division yet, but I certainly think that they have a chance to win that division.
Yeah, I mean, I might do it. I might do it here shortly.
Well, in my head, I literally just thought through and saw a world where all 4 teams except the Falcons win the division.
What's wrong with the Falcons, man? Their lefty quarterbacks are trying their best.
They got Simeon and the Penix.
All right. Well, we should have seen this one coming.
Fuck this, man.
The Eagles are terrorists. They are a terrorist organization receiving massive funding from the U.S. government because there's no other way that they would be able to acquire Makai Lemon at the pick in which they did. So the Eagles get Makai Lemon and have essentially assured themselves that when they ship off A.J. Brown, they'll be pretty okay with doing so because they will no longer have a gap at wide receiver 2 like they were shaping up to, and it was going to have to be filled by either Dontavian Wicks, Jahan Dotson, or Hollywood Brown. It's going to be Makai Lemon, who was, for many people, the wide receiver 1 in this draft.
Yeah,
he's a guy that is very much the sort of slot archetype, but is, people believe he can also expand beyond that. And Makai Lemon's a guy that, like, for redraft fantasy, I am very interested in, and I think people might be a little hesitant on just because it's the Eagles. They haven't been the most potent passing offense the last couple of years. Devonta Smith, people are going to immediately plug into that wide receiver 1 role. To me, I think it's more likely this becomes another 1A, 1B with Devonta Smith versus
makes me a little sad.
versus Devonta getting to be that clear number 1 with a clear number 2.
I wanted that so bad.
I did.
I wanted Devonta to
happen.
the moon.
I
still think he's the 1A. I like him
sure.
more than Makai Lemon, but yeah, this, as soon as the Eagles did this, you're just like, okay, these rumors are true. A.J. Brown is gone, whether to the Patriots or somewhere else, he's gone. He is as good as gone, and that's about as good of an option as you can get to fill that in. And speaking of filling in, we talked about the Browns, who desperately needed a wide receiver. We thought it might have been Carnell Tate. They go and get 2 first-round talents, 1 in the second round, in your boy KC Concepcion. Kevin Concepcion, and Denzel Boston, not the son of David Boston. Excellent. We talked about the Browns. They've got Harold Fannin. Jerry Jeudy can now settle into where he belongs as a wide receiver 3 at best. And
that's fucking off. That's what he should settle into.
And you've got a strong run game. They drafted the line well. Again, it's all going to depend on the quarterback play here, but if Shedeur Sanders is going to become a serviceable quarterback, these 2 are going to help immensely. And obviously, I think Concepcion is the better option here just because was a better player taken earlier, less question marks about him. But I think, we talked about the Browns and the winners. I think they did a great job here filling their biggest need on the team.
Yeah, Concepcion's a guy that I love. Denzel Boston's a great compliment stylistically. I think, again, this is not a dynasty podcast, but we can kind of talk about things from both perspectives.
Sure, why not?
From a dynasty perspective, I like both of these guys. From a redraft perspective, I will not be touching either of these guys in year one.
Yeah, very late maybe.
And it's, like Concepcion maybe just because I like the talent and, I'll hope that things break the right way. But just looking at things objectively, first, you've got a quarterback situation that's a total fucking mess. You've got Jerry Jeudy, who's still going to exist and be annoying unless they cut or trade him or something, which seems unlikely. And then you've got Harold Fannin at tight end. Like you've got a lot of fun young weapons and Jerry Jeudy, and then a quarterback situation that's not
the
good
worst in the league.
That's not good enough
Steelers right now.
Yeah, not good enough to keep all those guys afloat. So unless one of these guys really establishes themselves as like the go-to, which is what we saw out of Fannin last year for stretches. But that he had the luxury to do that because they were dealing with fucking dead ass Cedric Tillman, like as the
that
receivers.
Man is concussed as we speak.
Now you've got some actual talent in here. I don't think they have the necessary tools to get the best out of them for fantasy in year one. So this is more of a wait and see for redraft, in my opinion.
We can kind of merge these next two together here because the Jets address their pass catching.
Well, I think the talent level is very different for these two players.
Omar Cooper Jr. and Kenyon Sadiq. I'm going to say I straight up do not like the Kenyon Sadiq pick.
I don't either. That's why I didn't put the Jets as a
not
draft
only
winner
that
for
I'm a
me.
Mason Taylor glazer. That aside, they used the second round pick on Mason Taylor last year. And it's almost like when the Raiders took Michael Mayer in the second round and took Brock Bowers. Kenyon Sadiq is not Brock Bowers, first of all. And second of all, the Jets have so many needs. They were not in a position to use that kind of pick on a luxury position like Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq's a great player. He could wind up being a valuable guy this year in fantasy potentially. I still don't like the pick.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the right move to make there. But now, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq, the ghost of Mason Taylor. Ew.
It's very similar to the Browns situation. Where,
except they have an elite player in Garrett Wilson.
Exactly. So similar to the Browns situation where, it's hard to be excited about any of these guys in year one because they just probably don't have the quarterback to make it happen. Now, look, we've seen good years out of Geno Smith. Maybe Geno gets back to being able to throw 26, 27 touchdowns in a given year and you're got a little bit more to go around, but that's almost negated by the fact that, like you said, they do have a true number one in Garrett Wilson. Drafting these guys does also make me more hesitant to draft a guy like Garrett Wilson. Not that I was going to be super excited to draft him anyway because he's a fucking Jet, and that's just how it's been with Garrett Wilson.
I've had the guy twice in his career.
He's kind of just been in this hell. It's very much like the early career Terry McLaurin situation where Terry went fucking 8 years without getting a good quarterback, and then he got one, and then he blew up.
Wait a minute. Don't tell who the fuck is the Jets quarterback? Right? Is it Tyrod?
It's Geno Smith.
Oh, duh.
So it's not a very fertile situation here for these pass catchers.
Geno Hussein Smith.
So I'm not interested in these guys, including Garrett Wilson. I mean, Garrett Wilson's one where it's like if he falls enough, sure, maybe,
exactly.
But I don't know. I like Omar Cooper as a talent, so like I don't think that. Omar Cooper is necessarily this like galaxy away from Garrett Wilson in talent either. So you've got it's being split amongst too many guys in an offense that I don't believe in. So
again, Frank Reich led offense, Geno Smith at quarterback. I don't care for either Cooper or Sadiq for fantasy this year. Dynasty, go for it. Actually, this is an awesome dynasty-looking draft, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of awesome options.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen
like
the dynasty community really hate on basically everything outside of the first round because it's just the talent levels.
Now, I feel now we can kind of do a rundown of the rest of these wide receivers. Let's play a little game here. Of these guys, who do we like the best? We talked about DeJon Stribling in San Francisco. Jeremy, spelled Jeremy Bernard.
He's got germs.
To Pittsburgh. Antonio Wilson in Washington.
Antonio Williams.
Did I say Wilson?
You did.
Jesus fucking Christ, Pat. Get it the fuck together. You fat, bald fuck. Sorry. Malachi Fields to the Giants. Both Caleb Douglas and Chris Bell to the Dolphins. Zachariah Branch in Atlanta. Jacoby Lane in Baltimore. Chris Brazel in Carolina. Ted Hurts, I don't know what's hurting Ted, but he's in Tampa.
I don't think that's his name. I think it's Ted Hurst.
In our GOAT, Skylar Bell in Buffalo.
Yes.
Who of these guys, I put these guys here just because there's not a ton of depth.
Yeah.
And there is a chance that we see some of them. And some of them are also maybe an injury away. Who do you like the best? Give me a guy or two if you have one.
Yeah, no, I
Who
do.
do you like the best from this group? I have a feeling we're going to have a similar answer for one of them.
I think for right now, and there's some things that can change based on these free agent receivers, right? Like we've talked about, Brandon Ayuk is still available in theory. If he goes somewhere, he's going to muddy up a situation where, we're wasting our breath talking about any receiver drafted in the 3rd round or later if he joins a team with them. Same with Tyreek Hill, same with Stephon Diggs, Juwan Jennings. These guys all immediately make things muddy. If we sit here right now and are assuming that these situations don't change, Antonio Williams with the Commanders has the best opportunity. There's nobody there except for Terry McLaurin. There's nobody. Like, if you drafted this guy and he is not immediately better than Luke McCaffrey and who the fuck did I almost start in fan? I started Luke McCaffrey and I almost started somebody else. They were giving meaningful.
They do have our boy Chig. You OG listeners, you remember the OG Chig bit.
They were giving meaningful targets to some fucking absolute clown this year.
I remember as well.
Either way, Antonio Williams is the guy that steps into the biggest opportunity. So he is the number one guy that I'm looking at here. The next one, I think, probably. I'm not going to say it.
You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
I like Chris Brazell, actually.
Okay, interesting.
Chris Brazell is a guy.
Because I have two different answers here.
Yeah,
so.
he flashed a lot for Tennessee, and he steps into a Panthers receiver room that, yes, Ted McMillan is the guy. But after that, it's kind of open. I like Jalen Coker. Coker's a good player.
Cokeheads unite.
Cokeheads unite. But to me, I'm about ready to scrap Xavier Legette for parts at this point. And if you do that, you take a 6'4" guy that can run pretty well and put him in an offense that I think that's the biggest thing here. It's an offense that I actually like and is ascending rather than floundering like a Jets team or something like that. I think there's a world where Chris Brazell produces in year one. So I'll go with him and Antonio Williams as my two favorites here.
All right, now it's my turn. Get the lotion. I texted Bran immediately when this pick happened. Skylar Bell could not be in a better spot for him. I wanted him to be a Raider so bad, but when he went to Buffalo, I was just like, wow. First team All-American. This kid has legitimate talent and goes into a Josh Allen offense where there isn't a whole lot around. DJ Moore is there. We know what we're getting out of Khalil Shakir.
What if we built the whole offense out of slot receivers?
We know that, and now you bring in Skylar Bell as well, who is just steady as can be. I love it for him. I mean,
it's a great fit for him.
And I'm also going to talk about specifically Chris Bell in Miami. He was another guy that I was like, the Raiders. I'm like, take one of the Bells.
Don't
I
you?
kept saying the Raiders. I'm like, Hells Bells. Because as we've talked about in the past weeks, they traded just anybody worth a damn.
Yeah.
So there is so much room in that.
Malik Washington, wide receiver one.
That's
baby.
what I'm saying. Like Malik Washington. And
they're so signing Juwan Jennings. But we'll pretend for now that they won't.
But they might not. And, I was surprised Bell fell the way he did. But there's certainly a chance for one of these two guys, either Caleb Douglas or Chris Bell, just because, Malik Willis got a decent contract. He's a capable quarterback, it seems. If that's the case, they don't have anyone besides Devon Etienne to catch the ball. So besides that, I think it's a great spot.
Yeah, I agree. I like those two shouts. And then tight end, we talked about Kenyon Sadiq.
I think my mic died.
Your mic? Did it?
I think my mic died. It vibrated and now the mic's off.
It did.
I think my mic died.
Oh, mine's dying as well. This is awesome. Oh, hell yeah. All right, well, we might have to wrap the show up soon. That's okay. Tight end, let me monitor this to make sure I see actually when it dies, and then we'll just sign off. But Kenyon Sadiq, we already talked about. Eli Stowers is a guy that it's like the Eagles are really good at drafting tight ends. They've gone from Brent Selleck to Zach Ertz to Dallas Goedert, and now they've got Eli Stowers waiting in the wing. It may not be a instant impact kind of thing, but I think he's going to be really, really good going forward. He's a guy I liked at Vanderbilt. The Rams get Max Clare. Don't really care. I mean,
they've never, they tried with Higbee. But outside of that, they've never, the Terrence Ferguson.
And that's the thing.
We've been trying, and now Max Clare is their next target. But there's just nothing to. It's like if the Bengals took a tight end. There's nothing to lead me to believe
Yeah.
that they're gonna use a tight end enough here.
And then Oscar, you put Gelp, and I like that, so I just kept it. It's Delp.
Jesus
Oscar
Christ, Patrick.
Delp, but Pat wrote
Or D and G
Gulp.
are kind of close on the
Well, letter separation, so I don't know if I buy that.
Oscar Phelps.
I love Oscar
like
Michael.
that.
I like Oscar Michael Phelps for the
Oscar
Saints.
Mayer, Gallop Wieners.
He's got a path to produce right away.
Absolutely.
Like Juwan Johnson's
Yeah,
good, but
as
he's
much as
old,
we like
so
Juwan Johnson, he's not like some kind of impenetrable force there
No.
that can't be overtaken.
certainly not. So I like that fit there. We'll skip this little draft segment.
Yeah,
we push this to next week.
We yapped, bro.
Biggest fantasy winners, outside of the rookies in their landing spots. Quarterback, we already talked about Tyler Shuck and Cam Ward just getting a bunch of weapons that are going to help them out. Running backs who avoided the bullets that could have come in this draft. Chase Brown survives another year, so I will
He could
actually
literally
buy
lead-
into him.
He could lead the league in rushing, and I will never believe his job is safe.
I won't either.
I love the
won't
guy.
either. Him and Kyron Williams
He
both.
might be my Pat's pal again, Chase Brown. I love Chase Brown. Another guy we were worried about was Cam Scatterbo.
Yep.
Which seemed like, the Giants were about Jeremiah Love. Turns out that I'm going to hold the mic as if you can hear me through this
You
one.
could hear perfectly fine through this.
I
It's
know.
fine.
I see the thing. With them drafting a running back, they didn't. And Scatterbo is pretty set there.
Yep.
They have, who else is there?
Tyrone Tracy.
Oh, I thought they signed somebody.
They may have signed somebody. I'm not sure.
Any lonely
I don't-
Giants fan?
I don't think it was anybody-
Burt Dougal, are you in there from Atlanta?
I don't think it was anybody.
Not the San Francisco
relevant.
Giants depth chart, which I go to like every day. Let's see. They have yeah, it's just Tracy and Singletary. I don't know. I thought they might have brought someone else in. So it's great for Scatterbo as long as his leg becomes intact.
Great for Scatterbo.
Tony Pollard.
He survives as just. I like him a lot now as this boring value kind of back to round out your
We've
team
seen
with.
Brian Dable offenses produce solid fantasy running backs. It's not out of the question.
The Commanders added nobody, so who the actual winner is, I don't know. Right now, Bill Krosky-Merritt and Rashad
Not
White
our viewing eyes.
seem to be equal winners.
Who's this next guy you're putting?
This guy, I've never
We have
really,
a button to talk
never
about
quite,
him at all,
never
or-
quite heard of him before. Oh wait, we might have a button. The wheels have never been more up for Bayshall Tootin, baby. They did not draft a running back in any of the 7 rounds of the NFL draft. It's Tootin season. I'm going to be tooting my pants
They lose
off.
Travis Etienne, and the only guy you bring in is Chris Rodriguez, who, again, is capable in his role and will have his role. But Tootin's got way more upside.
I may or may not have a boner right now.
Call me Lauren Boebert. I'm about to... sorry.
I don't know where that's going.
Yeah, sorry.
Bayshall Tootin is a winner. Jonathan Brooks, longtime friend of the show,
Yeah.
also a winner. The Panthers drafted no running backs.
Yeah.
He is as healthy as he's ever been. Chuba Hubbard continues to just be fine. He's a good back. But Jonathan Brooks, the window remains open for him to possibly be an actually good player in this. He's still only 23 years old. Like he's got time. If his legs hold up, he's good. And then another favorite of just talent, Marshawn Lloyd.
Also a favorite of pulled hamstrings.
Yeah, look, the guy's hurt. Talk about Brooks, but okay, I think the mic's really about to die. The guy's hurt basically all the fucking time, but if they don't draft anybody, he's at least got some sort of role here. So I am still excited to see him maybe get kind of a change of pace role here as a running back. Receivers, we've got the Raiders receivers. They added nobody. We've got George Pickens and Ryan Flournoy because the Cowboys drafted nobody. Josh Downs and Tyler Warren. The Colts added nobody.
Oh yeah, play noises.
There we go. Hello.
Can you hear us now?
This definitely sounds different, but just deal with it for the
Also, what
duration.
jersey is Pat wearing? I'm wearing a Derek Carr jersey just because I hope that Fernando maybe will wear it, and I just want to celebrate the Raiders, and this was the first one I saw in my closet.
Okay, last thing we were talking about was the Colts.
Yeah.
Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, big winners as well, just for the Colts not spending any high draft capital on receivers. Josh Downs in particular, with the departure of Michael Pittman, I'm very interested in for fantasy next year. Biggest fantasy losers, obviously Tyler Algier, RIP, any standalone value that he had. Chris Olave takes a hit as sort of an elite player. Or like, you know, that tippy top level of elite player, still going to be good. But just, you know, he's got another really good receiver to deal with now, which he did not have last year. He had the entire team to himself. And then Garrett Wilson, same thing, more competition on a bad team. Oh, that's unfortunate. And then Jerry Jeudy. He's just a fucking loser in general. So, like, he continues to be a loser.
The sound is better on this mic than the spoons. That's interesting.
I mean, I'm not surprised. That mic is actually really good. It's
That's
just
interesting.
Here's the
That may be
thing:
the
the
move.
mic is all the way over here, and we have to talk from back here. But if the mic actually sounds better,
it's looking like the levels are of a similar.
about the same.
This
Hey,
might
we
be
can continue using this. If we need
happy
to.
accidents sometimes.
So-
That's why I don't have to hold a fucking wooden spoon.
I
all
was
the time.
trying to figure out how to use this one before the show. I just didn't have time. I was trying to figure out a way to like
'Cause that's a good mic.
suspend it from here
I
because
see.
it would sound good.
That is a good mic.
But we'll figure it out. Either way, all right. I think that will about do it for the show today. We're gonna go through the super chats here really quick.
Shit chat a Lil B.
But
Remember Lil B, the bass god?
I do remember Lil B, the bass god.
All right, so
Let me go down here. Oh wait, this is this. Why did I unplug? I unplugged my Stream Deck. Why would I do such a thing?
Why would he do such a thing? Yeah, sound volume and quality are better. Do we look better? Well, I know I don't.
Am I
look
sexier?
I know I don't look very good. I'm taking up most of the frame right now. Jesus Christ, eat a salad.
All right, but before, I mean, I guess we probably have time to talk about these within the actual show recording because
Yeah, we started late.
we had like a
started
5
at,
minute, we had like a 5 minute intro, and we were just muted for like 2 minutes.
I think we started at like
so.
10:07. Yeah.
All right, we'll just do the viewer questions on the actual show itself because fuck it, why not? T Sharp with $10 said last week when Brand mocked Simpson to the Steelers at 21, I said he should have learned his lesson after mocking Shador to them last year. I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game.
For real.
Apology accepted.
For real.
Metalhead with $5 said I like my Packers draft, especially Trey, James, Smack Dat, Smack the Third, Smack. We could get McManus out of here.
Yeah, Brandon McManus was a man that I guess was exonerated, but we still don't fuck with Brandon McManus.
No, yeah, fuck him. Stankmaster99 with $5 said, can't believe... I'm not saying that. You're not doing it.
Wait,
no.
what happened to dicks in my ass? I usually love dicks in my ass. Why didn't he get drafted?
Why?
I've actually never used that one, heard that one before. I'm gonna use the shit out of that.
Dicks in my ass is pretty good.
That's like I said, for someone like me to have never heard that one, that it's got to be a deep pull.
Said way better than Diego
Also,
Pavia. That might still
we'll
be
talk
true.
more about Diego Pavia later.
Ty Daniel 551 with $4.99 said my mom asked me why I was a fan of the Bengals if they were so frustrating. Then proceeded to ask why I didn't choose another team to be a fan of.
Alex's burner.
Valid question. Just be a Patriots fan. It's easy. Jake with $20 said,
Thank you, Jake.
Bran, I hope you're smart enough in your draft analysis video to give the Cardinals an A+ for drafting Love because they're tanking. Raiders strategy, draft talent around quarterback, tank, draft quarterback next draft. I don't think I'll give them...
Dante Moore will be a GOAT next year.
I don't think I'll give them an A+, but I'm definitely not ragging on them the way that a lot of people have been.
And the thing is, the difference between the Raiders and the Cardinals right now is actually Cardinals already have their coach.
Yeah.
The Raiders were kind of doing this without any direction. Now they have Mike LaFleur. Yeah, I think Dante Moore or someone else is probably their starting quarterback next year.
Yeah. Thank you guys for all these donations.
Yes,
By the
thank
way,
you.
William Gray with Canadian $5, I think, said, I get that trading back is not easy, but this was the year that you could. KC jumped up from 9 to 6 for a third and a fifth. Rams could absolutely trade back. Yeah,
exactly.
the Simpson pick just will never make sense
Might
to
have
me.
been better off with Maggie Simpson.
Agreed. That hybrid guy with $4.99 said people ask who the Colts will start, but Riley Leonard did great last year when he started. He is a great passer and can run like budget DM. Thoughts? DM. DJ?
I think
Those letters are close.
I think that Riley Leonard will be.
Riley Leonard's good enough.
Fine.
Riley Leonard's good enough if the Colts actually only need someone to start for like 4 games. Because I mean, it's fine. Like I don't know that I'm gonna say he's good or looked good last year, but like backups aren't good.
Riley
so
Leonard
like you
could
just
be-
hope you get what you
In
get.
a decade from now, we could be talking about Riley Leonard the way we talk about Blaine Gabbert and Chad Henne and those guys who just hang around forever because they're just, good for them.
Let's see. Nate Jablonski, longtime listener with $10.
Former, Vampire League participant.
Yep, said, I'm proud of myself for saying the Vikings wouldn't draft a safety in round 1. Brian Flores always considers the secondary to be, well, secondary. Definitely didn't expect Banks, though. That was a reach.
Yeah, Banks is a big project. Like I said, outside of the Simpson pick, that was the most questionable pick of the first round to me.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Straight Grizzly with $4.99 said, do you think Rashee Rice is a reformed man now and a good boy? That's why the Chiefs didn't draft a wide receiver and he'll sign a JSN-type contract with the Chiefs. This is a massive two-part question. No, the fuck he's not reformed and a good boy. Do I think they didn't draft wide receiver because they believe he's going to be a long-term option for them and they're going to give him a big contract? Yeah, probably, because the NFL doesn't fucking care.
I think they're going to need to wait to see if he is something of a good boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely an interesting target now, for fantasy and for like even dynasty purposes, because it does seem like there's a bit of a longer term commitment here now, with them not really drafting anybody. They did sign Jeff Caldwell as an undrafted free agent, who's very large and big and
just like me.
He's like very Calvin Johnson-esque. Shout out to the boy. In terms of size, he sucks at playing receiver, but they could, build him. So that's just something interesting to watch. But yeah, I mean, I think Rashee Rice is probably around for the long haul.
Good question.
Shoobs with $2 said, fuck, marry, kill, Garrett Nussmeier, Diego Pavia, Uar Bernard.
All right, so first of all...
We're killing Pavia.
No, I'm marrying him because then I'll have his mother as my mother-in-law.
All right.
We're fucking Garrett Nussmeier because he has a nussy.
Okay.
And I guess Uar Bernard by default is gone. Sorry, pal. I don't even really know who that is.
I'm killing Diego Pavia.
Oh, so then you could get with his mom.
Yes. I will fuck Uar Bernard because he's just a big mountain of a man. And I'll marry Garrett Nussmeier.
Oh, that's the player
the guy
who's
never played football.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome story. By the way, I'm a huge Caden McDonald fan now. Because when he got drafted, I don't know if I've ever seen that much just like pure emotion from a player.
Texans.
Like that man, first of all, him going to the Texans is just like, it's like, oh, my steak is too buttery. Like, my lobster's too buttery. My steak is too tender. Like, that's a great ad. And that man was just so emotional. I was just like, man, like you could tell that really meant so much to him. So big fan of him. Yeah. By the way. And then this Uar Bernard guy, we'll see. Because that would be go through the Nigeria combine, basically.
Yeah. All right.
Sick.
That'll do it for this episode of Brand Coverage, folks. We will be back here Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Wait, one more.
Oh, you got a donation?
Dolphins first round losers. What the fuck was that? Honestly, yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yes.
That was
thank you,
pretty
William.
bad.
$2. $2 Canadian dollars from William.
Yes, thank you very much. But we will be back next week, 10 a.m. Eastern time, here Wednesday, talking about whatever the fuck may happen in the NFL from now till then. And, I mean, eventually we're going to get into our fantasy previews. Probably not quite yet, but we, rosters have solidified a little bit. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Stream, please don't go